Have you ever stopped to reflect why some people live in constant worry about money, while others seem to have an unshakable financial security? Why do some spend their lives fighting debt and scarcity, and others build heritage, invest wisely, and guarantee not only their own well being but also that of their families? Today, I will share with you a story that has transformed my way of seeing finances. A lesson that I learned as a child, listening to my grandfather, a man who faced wars, crises, and deprivation, but who still managed to live a life that most only dream of having. And the most surprising, your teachings remain valid to this day. When I was small, I used to sit next to my grandfather as he organized his finances. To me, that seemed a mysterious ritual. He not only had notes or made calculations, he explained to me the essence behind the money. He said firmly, money is a tool. If you let it master your decisions, you will become your prisoner. But if you learn to master it, it will work to your advantage. At the time, that sounded strange. I imagined that wealth was a matter of luck. Some were born in wealthy families. Others had businesses that took off out of nowhere. Over time, however, I understood that prosperity is not the result of chance. It is the result of knowledge, consistent habits, and the ability to make right decisions, even when everything seems to conspire against you. I saw many friends lose everything over the years. Some spend on unique, superfluous, others sank into debt without planning how to quiet them, and there were those who, for fear of risking, remained stagnant, never moving forward. Every time I witnessed these situations, my grandfather's words echoed in my mind. Anyone who wants to thrive must first of all learn to rule himself. Today, I want to convey to you the same understanding. This is no longer one of those generic advice on saving or investing. It is a philosophy of life, a set of principles that, when applied seriously, have the power to change their financial destiny forever. You may be thinking, another speech about magic formulas to get rich. But that's not what it is about. What I will share is a mindset strategy, habits, and actions I have observed over the years from childhood to this day. It is a system that not only helps to accumulate wealth, but to build a life in which financial independence is no longer a distant dream and becomes a concrete reality. And I make a promise, if you absorb these ideas and put into practice the steps I will present, the scarcity will no longer be part of your story. Yes, you heard it right. Never again. But there is a crucial detail. You need to be willing to turn your way of thinking. You need to abandon illusions about money and face the truth behind it. Imagine waking up in the morning without the pressure of accounts payable or debts to pay off. Imagine knowing that every decision you make is, in fact, bringing you closer to a more solid financial situation. Does it seem impossible? It is not. Anyone can achieve this level of tranquility as long as they are open to absorbing proven wisdom over generations. I met people who spent years in financial difficulties and, by applying only one or two of the principles I will reveal, saw their lives completely transform. It is not magic. It is knowledge, one that is not in advertisements or expensive courses, but is transmitted by those who really understand how finances work. And here is the most important point. Most people ignore this truth. They seek shortcuts, instant riches, miraculous solutions that promise to change everything overnight. But the reality is different. Genuine financial freedom is built with patience, discipline, and consistent actions. If you follow these principles, you will control your money, not the other way around. So follow until the end. I will detail the practical steps that can redefine your financial future by sharing personal experiences, my family stories, and tips you can apply today. If you are ready to leave instability behind and start living the way you always wanted, this is the time to take the first step. Your journey towards financial independence begins now. When I speak of never being poor again, I don't just mean accumulating a large amount of money. True financial freedom is not a destination, but a process. It is the ability to manage your resources intelligently, make based decisions, and use money as a tool to build the life you really want. And it was observing the trajectory of my family and my own experiences that I realized something fundamental. Poverty is not just the lack of resources. It is, above all, a set of limiting beliefs, harmful habits, and fears that prevent you from prospering. As a teenager, I often accompanied my grandfather as he dealt with his finances. He always repeated, "What matters is not how much you have, but what you do about it." And that's how I'd understood wealth begins with discipline. Discipline to spend consciously, to invest in strategy, to seek knowledge constantly, and to cultivate relationships that add value. Let me share some principles I applied in my life and I saw at work for people who had never faced serious financial difficulties. First, financial control is a skill that develops. Many people face finances as complex, boring, or inaccessible, but the truth is that everything can be simplified. You need to know exactly where every penny goes and plan each movement. I remember a remarkable episode. After my first big gain in business, I thought I could spend comfortable. Result: in less than a month, my account was almost zeroed, and I had contracted a small debt. It was a painful lesson. From there, I started to register all my spending and recipes daily, so I could identify waste, cut unnecessary expenses, and direct my money to what really mattered: increase my assets. Discipline in finance management is the first step in eliminating money concerns. Small habits, such as writing each expense or reviewing the budget weekly, make a huge long-term difference. Second, invest in yourself. Knowledge is the only asset that always generates return. When he was young, he often heard from the elders, want to be prosperous, study, learn, always seek to know more, and they are not just words. Investing in education and personal development are the best businesses you can do. I myself intended much of my first salary for investments and entrepreneurship courses. Less than a year later, those teachings allowed me to make financial decisions that multiplied my capital several times beyond what I had spent. The most valuable is to understand that knowledge is a permanent good. Money comes and goes, but what you learn stays with you forever. It is the information that opens doors, avoids expensive errors, and gives security to act with confidence. Third, think in the long run. Most people make a serious mistake. They want to get rich overnight. They take risky loans, make impulsive investments, or depend on luck. In my experience, this path almost always leads to frustration. I've seen many cases like this. True financial stability is not built with shortcuts, but with a solid and patient strategy. Who understands this comes out ahead. I saw friends lose great sums of money trying to get rich fast. Meanwhile, those who applied the principles of gradual accumulation and intelligent investments constructed financial independence. Over time, my father always said, don't think about winning a million in a month. Think about increasing your income year after year, step by step, and that works. Small, consistent advances create a solid foundation on which real wealth is constructed. Fourth, use money as a tool, not as a goal. From an early age, I understood that money alone brings nothing. He is just a medium. Many people remain poor because they see money as an end, not as an instrument. They work for money, instead of working with money to gain freedom, knowledge, or opportunities. I remember advice that a partner has given me: if you are a slave to your money, it will destroy you. But if he is your servant, you will build your life. This idea changed everything to me. Today, I use my income to create new opportunities, invest in projects and people, and ensure freedom of choice for me and my family. Fifth, your environment shapes your financial reality. My grandfather used to say, tell me who you walk, and I will say who you are. Friends, colleagues, and partners deeply influence their financial decisions. If you're surrounded by people who complain about the lack of money and seek shortcuts, you risk going the same way. I changed my circle myself. I started to live with who knows how to earn, invest, and build business. I observed, learned, and absorbed the habits and mindset of those who had already achieved success. The result: my financial intelligence grew, and my income gradually. 2.6 Embrace the discipline of postponing the bonus. I know it's not easy. When young people see something they want, the desire to buy on time is great, but it is precisely the ability to say no to immediate pleasures, invest and wait for the results, that separates those who build wealth from those who remain in scarcity. I went through this myself. I avoided unnecessary expenses, applied my money to learning and business. A few years later, these choices gave me a freedom that many of my acquaintances only dreamed of having. If you apply these principles: discipline, continuous learning, long-term strategy, proper environment, and smart use of money, not only will improve your financial situation, but transform your mindset. Poverty will no longer be part of your life. Each step, every decision, and each habit builds its financial reality. And the sooner you start, the faster you will see the results. Now, let's recap everything we discussed. If you have followed here, you already have the basis of what makes a person financially independent. But I want you to understand one thing: this is not theory. Everything I said comes from my experience, the history of my family, and hundreds of people I have observed over the years. When I started, I faced the same problems as most: debt, fear of losing my job, the feeling that money was never enough. Until I realized a simple truth: poverty begins in mind. If you change your way of thinking, your habits, and your relationship with money, financial independence will become real. You already know the fundamental principles: discipline and money management. Each real, dollar, or euro should be accounted for, directed, and wisely used. It's like the foundation of a house. If you are solid, no storm will shake your financial life. Invest in knowledge. The money comes and goes, But knowledge is forever. It gives you the ability to make right decisions, see opportunities where others see problems, and build lasting wealth. Long-term thinking. Wealth is not built overnight. It is a slow, safe, and well-planned process where each step matters. Hurried decisions can bring momentary satisfaction, but rarely lead to true financial freedom. Money as a tool, not as a goal. If he becomes his goal, you will be his slave. If you use it as an instrument, it will open doors for new opportunities, projects, and freedom for you and your family. Your environment defines your reality. The people you live with influence your habits, your mindset, and your choices. If you want prosperity, you need a circle that inspires and supports, not that limit. The art of postponing the gratification, perhaps the most challenging but also the most transformative principle. The ability to give up immediate pleasures in exchange for greater results in the future is what differentiates those who build richness from those who remain stagnant. Let me share a personal story that can inspire you to act today. Around the age of 20, I had a small business that apparently went well, but a mistake, a poorly calculated investment, almost destroyed everything. I remember that day one, alone. I analyzed my misconceptions and thought, it's over. I lost everything. So I remembered my grandfather's words: who knows how to learn from mistakes will never be poor. That's when I started applying the principles I shared here. I prepared a detailed plan for my finances, investments, and business. I started to study skills that improve my management and increase my income. I changed my environment, going to people who understood how to build wealth. I eliminated superfluous spending, and I won in long-term goals. A few years later, not only did my business recover, but it grew several times beyond what it was before. And I understood that true power is not in money, but in knowledge, discipline, and correct approach to life. You can also walk this path. Start today. Make a plan. Analyze your spending. Choose a book or course to learn. Reflect on which environment helps you grow and which habits hold you. And remember, wealth is not just money, it's freedom. Freedom to choose what to do, where to live, with whom to relate, which projects support, and what dreams realize. Money is the tool that enables this freedom, but true wealth begins in mind. Keep this. You will never be poor if you adopt these principles and put them into practice. The important thing is not just watching a video, but acting every day, every step, in each decision. Now I want to talk to you directly. If this content has inspired you, if you felt you can change your life, take the first step. It's not just an inscription. It is a commitment to regularly receive knowledge and tips that will help you build your financial freedom. In the next videos, I will share secrets that my family has used to create wealth from scratch and that still work today. These principles are not abstract theories. They work for people everywhere in the world, regardless of where you are now. Don't leave tomorrow what can transform your reality today. Begin to apply the pillars we discuss: discipline to maintain focus, knowledge to make intelligent decisions, long-term vision not to get lost in quick success. Learn how to use money as a tool, not as an end. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to grow, not those who pull you down. And above all, develop the ability to postpone immediate bonuses in exchange for a solid future. Believe yourself, study nonstop, and especially act. Remember, financial freedom is not an unreachable dream. It is the accumulated result of consistent actions and conscious choices. I'm sure you will make it, because the wisdom I share is not invention. It was tested by time, forged in real life, and transmitted by generations of my family, who faced wars, crises, and rebuilt everything from scratch until they built a life that many dare to imagine. This same wisdom is now in your hands. Don't wait any longer. Give that first step today, and never allow scarcity again to dictate your opportunities or your dreams. The power to change is in you. Use it.